Noel, comes down to us being sold on ourselves. And when we're really sold on ourselves and when we're sold on what we do and how what we do is really helping people and solving problems, then we're going to go out there and we're going to make those calls because we know we're providing value. We know
Yes.
we're solving problems. And that, to me, that's the biggest shift that has to happen in your mind. Because if you're not calling people because you think you're being pushy, then
Mhm.
that means you in deep internally are not confident in yourself and confident in what you do.
Hi, I'm Noel with today's Brew, where top producing real estate agents and coaches share their tips and tricks on taking more listings, making more money, and having fun doing it. On today's episode, we welcome David Hill. David, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you for coming on. So tell us a little about your company, Path to Mastery.
Yeah, we help real estate agents get listings. Ultimately, I mean, to put it in a nutshell, we work with real estate agents on on their sales process. I also work with business owners and companies, but a lot of my clients are real estate agents just because of my 20 years experience in real estate and how many listings I've taken. So the real estate agents really have done really well with what we teach, just focusing on taking listings.
Okay, so real estate for 20 years, you have to have some
Actually,
good
longer than that,
strategies.
actually. I think 20. Yeah, got
How
my
long?
license in 2001,
Okay,
and I sold it. I think in 2019. I started primarily doing coaching and training. But I still sold a little bit here and there. And now I'm actually going right back into it. So that's what's exciting now is I'm
really? So you're
launching my own brokerage right now. Yeah. I'm actually
wow.
waiting for the state of Massachusetts to approve my corporate license so I can get out there and get to work.
Yes, yes. Well, okay, so that's motivating to hear for people because 2024 has definitely introduced maybe some same challenges with lower inventory and maybe some newer challenges. And some agents might be having a harder time than others being successful, and you're wanting to relaunch your business. So
So
let's talk
here's my biggest problem is we have 3 listings right now that I need to put on, and I can't even put them on yet
about.
because I don't have MLS access because my brokerage license has not been like I have a broker's license, but I'm doing it under an LLC. So in Massachusetts, you have to have a corporate real estate license. It's just this whole
Hmm. Well, you
Massachusetts
better get them
thing.
on because we need them.
We need them, and it's a good news. And 2 more appointments next week. So if and I'll tell you what, Noel, someone challenged me and on a call. I was talking to somebody, and they're like, "Yeah, what you haven't done real estate in a couple of years, so what makes you think what you could do even works anymore?" I says, "Okay, I'll take you up on that."
Whoa.
And in 2 weeks, we found 3 listings, expireds and FSBOs, and from Sphere of Influence, we're going to be listing a 55 plus unit. They're giving us multiple units to list. All this just from literally going out and start talking to people about real estate again.
Conversations are key. So let's talk a little bit about that prospecting. What should an agent be doing?
Talking talking to
Yeah, I
people,
know, but getting on the
right?
phone, talk us through a day, like their schedule, like
Yeah.
what kind of calls should they be making?
Yeah, I mean, if you're making calls, I would be contacting the people that have their hands up first. If those are the expireds,
Mhm.
the for sale by owners. I think honestly, with the changes coming to the real estate industry, for sale by owners are a no brainer. I built
Mhm.
my business on for sale by owners. It's like so easy now to get for sale by owners. So you got to be calling the for sale by owners, having the right conversations. Go hit those new expireds because they're motivated, and then just be in touch with the people you know. You know what I mean? The people that know you, like you, trust you. You have to stay in front of those people. And I think most real estate agents, including myself, years ago, I didn't do a good enough job staying in front of the people that I knew. I was great at with expireds and FSBOs every day, but the people I knew, I was kind of not avoiding them, but just not. I was neglecting them a little bit. Uh,
Okay, sounds kind of similar to myself. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
yeah.
When I first got in the business, I was like, "Oh, I'm not worried about calling expireds. I don't know them. That's a piece of cake." And you're
Hmm.
right. The database and your sphere of influence, you're like, "Oh, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to be salesy." So what's some advice you can give other agents that sound like you and I? about getting past that call reluctance towards your sphere?
Um, yeah, I didn't know if I even had call reluctance. I just joined a team and they told me to call FSBOs. I like literally I could have they could have said if you do open houses, that's what you like. I got lucky. Nobody told me to do open houses, right? So, but I think ultimately, I've worked with a lot of hundreds of agents. I was a trainer for Keller Williams for a lot of years. So yeah, we do avoid calling our sphere of influence to people that know us because we feel like we're being pushy and we're
Mm,
trying to get. And a lot of it really, Noel, comes down to us being sold on ourselves. And when we're really sold on ourselves and when we're sold on what we do and how what we do is really helping people and solving problems, then we're going to go out there and we're going to make those calls because we know we're providing value. We know
yes.
we're solving problems. And that, to me, that's the biggest shift that has to happen in your mind. Because if you're not calling people because you think you're being pushy, then
Mhm.
that means you in deep internally are not confident in yourself and confident in what you do. Now, I hope nobody gets mad at me for saying that, but if you really look at it, that's the reality.
I believe it. I believe it. I think you're right. And I think that getting a coach would probably be a very good step
Of course.
towards having the confidence and building the skills. Let's talk a little bit about your coaching program and what you have to offer agents and helping build their mindset if somebody was struggling.
Well, I think it starts with just being in the right community. For starters, I mean, I when I was selling in 2000 and I think I started making calls my first day, and I went 15 years every day, 9 a.m. on the phones, right? Like that was my
Mhm.
morning. But I also had a role play partner every morning. Like literally, I'm not exaggerating. When I say 15 years, I'm telling you, every morning, role play partner at 8:30. That was just part of my morning routine. Even before I had a coach, I had role play
Yeah.
partners, and I went and I found really good role play partners. Jeff Glover was my role play partner for a while. I'm sure you know
Wow.
who Jeff is.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
Dave Norberg. I had so many awesome. So being, having those role play partners, practicing, just being with people that are doing what you want to do is also extremely important. I think it's one of the biggest mistakes I see is everybody's trying to figure it all out on their own and they don't want to spend any money. And I just find it really difficult to figure it out on your own.
Uh, what do they say? It takes a village.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely, I always believe in delegate and ask for help, so you
And
can't do it all on your own.
yeah, and you got to find someone that knows, like for example, we did a challenge a couple weeks ago, and one of the agents says, "Oh yeah, the manager at my office is working with us on cold calling."
Hmm.
Okay, tell me about their experience. Well, they don't. I mean, I don't know if they have any experience cold calling. Then why would you work with? I get it. It's the manager office. I'm not. I don't take anything away from that. That's their job. But if you want to get good at cold calling, then go find someone that has a lot of experience and has been successful cold calling. Don't just go to the manager office and they grab the manual and say, this is what you're supposed to say. Because there's so many people out there that sound like robots and they're not effective. They're just not effective.
Yeah, you need
And
a little personality back there.
sure.
Okay, so you've been challenged by someone saying you won't be able to take as many listings. I want to go backtrack a little bit into your history. How many listings were you taking in a year?
Yeah, so we took I had somebody running my buyer division on my team when I stepped out of my team in 2017 to do leadership for Keller Williams. They had me. I became a team leader. I ran three of their offices, et cetera, et cetera. Um, anyway, and yeah, that was unfortunately that was kind of like the end of me at Keller Williams.
Mhm.
However, we were taking anywhere from 10 to 25 listings a month when I was running my team. And that was
Well,
me and one other listing agent. And then I had another guy, Justin Jarbo. He ran a buyer team for me. So it was him and he had two showing agents. And we were closing anywhere from about 90 to 120 homes a year, running that
what
model for years. And yeah, and then like clockwork. And then I stepped out of that to get into leadership,
mhm.
yeah, and The rest is
So
history.
how important do you think it is to have a buyer, right, agent working for you if you want to be a successful listing agent?
I don't know if it's important to have a buyer's agent working
Mhm.
for you. I would say that,
Or to refer
um,
the business out so that you're not
yeah, yeah. Well, I
neglecting
think your
your
point
income.
is that, yeah, it's what you focus on expand. So for me in 2009, I made a decision. I'm not going to work with buyers anymore. And at first it was difficult. But what ended up happening is just was able to put all my energy and all my focus into seller listings. And then all of a sudden what happens is, instead of any buyer appointments, I'm able to start going on a listing appointment a day, 5 days a week. A listing appointment a
Mhm.
day in the morning. All I'm doing is making my calls. And then before you know it, we became the top team in our office, and our business just blew up. And because if you're working with buyers, and again, nothing wrong with buyers, you need buyers. And by the
No, you
way,
need that.
buyers have homes to sell. So
Yep.
just realize that, as a listing agent, you do your open houses. You should be at your open house with the people coming in. If they buy the house, great. But what I'm doing is I'm actually auditioning to be their listing agent.
You do.
I mean, I don't care if they want to buy another house. That's great. I'll set them up with one of my buyer's agents. But at the same time, I want to find out if they have a home to sell, because I'm looking at everybody as a seller. Like everybody that shows up to me, I'm trying to find out, is this person a seller? Do they know a seller?
Mhm.
Right? And then that's kind of the way that, and again, that comes down to your question, because my mindset shifted. It's 100% listing focus, which is my new company. That's what we're
Yeah.
focused on, 100% listings.
Okay, so listing presentations, you mentioned it briefly. Let's talk about getting into you've secured the appointment. Now you've shown up for your listing, and you're like you said, you're there to seal the deal.
Mm.
Um, what would you say are some good healthy do's and don'ts that you would do when you get in front of your prospective clients? What should you be saying and not saying while you're there in front of them?
Well, I mean, first off, no, we do a really strong pre-qualification process before we meet with anybody. So I have a pretty good understanding of what people's goals are, what their wants are, ahead of time. And if I don't think somebody's motivated, then I typically am not even going to meet with them. So it kind of starts there, right? Before I even meet with somebody, I'm having a deep conversation, and then when I meet with people, I'm bringing them what they want. If somebody's biggest concern is, well, I don't want to get stuck with the wrong agent. I don't want to get stuck in a long-term contract, and I'm kind of scared of that. Well, that's what we're going to address.
Okay.
And obviously I need to know the inventory in the area. I need to know the market. I need to know my statistics. I need to know what's happening. Sold list. I think if there was probably anything in the beginning that someone could have taught me more, it was that part of it. Not just like, hey, jump on the phones and make phone calls, but know your market, be a market expert. So I think there's a lot of value in that as well. Just understanding your market, your inventory, your days on, all that stuff, to me, that sets you apart from a lot of the other agents. Plus,
Absolutely.
asking great questions. You got to get good at asking questions, deeper questions, not surface level, like the deep questions, and help people. I mean, a lot of times people need help making a decision.
Mhm.
And if you can help somebody with uncertainty, if somebody's like uncertain about something,
Yeah.
hey, hey, ask him. You seem a little uncertain. What are you uncertain of? Like, you can literally ask a direct question like that. If you do it the
Absolutely.
right way, people pause for a minute, and then they'll tell you. I'm not. It's wild. I'm all about authenticity. Like, I've been the scripts guy for so long, and I was effective at it. I was four industries before real estate, always on phones, always killed it. Publishing, worked in a call center for a credit card company. But I'll tell you what I've learned as I've gotten older, I know what to say. I know what to say. Now it's just about having authentic conversations with people, being authentic and asking the right questions, and
Absolutely.
being willing to go deep. Be willing to ask that hard question that nobody else is asking. And
Be
then
genuine.
people don't care. Like, people don't care about your presentation. Once you connect with somebody and they
Yep.
trust you and they're like, okay, they just want to work with you.
I do have a question going into a little bit about objections.
Yes.
Um, so since a lot of places do have lower inventory, I mean, what happens when someone says to you, "Well, I want to sell my house, but I don't know where I'm going to go."
Yeah, that's a great question, right? So you don't know, then they may not be a real seller for you. So you
So they're
just have
not
to,
qualified to you.
oh,
Is
you
that
have
what you?
to, yeah, go right back to pre-qual. Great. If we give them the options. So here's plan A, here's plan B, here's plan B, plan C. If we put your house in the market and somebody shows up and you don't have a place to go, are you willing to rent?
Yep.
No. Are you willing to
Nope.
stay with a family member?
Nope.
No.
I
Are
don't want
you
to move
will
twice, David.
what?
I said, no, I'm not. I don't want to move twice.
Well, so there you go, right? So you may have a situation where this is not the person that you're going to list with right now, or you may have to go out and try to find them a property first.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels. And,
absolutely.
and the good news is 80% of my business comes from follow up. So that just means a not right now situation.
Hmm. So how often should you be following up?
Well, is
Weekly?
as many.
Monthly?
It depends on the person. I mean, somebody like that, if it really depends. I don't think there's a exact template for follow up. I mean, I think it's appropriate to the lead. If somebody's a year out, then yeah, you're not going to follow up every week, right? You maybe
No.
check in every couple months. But
Okay, well, what if they signed a listing agreement and then before it goes live, they change their mind
what do you
because
mean?
they're not. So they've signed a listing agreement, but you're about 20 days out from it going live,
Yeah.
uh, and then they're like, "Oh gosh, I don't have anywhere to live. I want to change my mind." I mean, you thought you had a deal, you had a contract in place, then you just follow
Well,
up.
I would try to avoid even being in that situation by really figuring that out ahead of time before I put
Mhm.
the property on the market. Like if, like some people are like, you know what? If I get my number, I will rent. You set them up with a local rental situation. Some people say, I'll stay with family. I'll do temporary. I'm building, whatever it is, you got to
Yeah,
figure that out ahead of time because the odds are we're not going to find them something else. And even if we do find them something else, then if most people, if they're not going to do a bridge loan or they don't have the money, they
they
can't
can
even buy the next house anyway, right? Because they got to be like, hey, I want to buy your house, but now I got to go sell my house and then come back to you while there's another 20 people
in
there
line.
that don't have homes to sell. So yeah, you gotta figure we have to figure the situation out ahead of time. And that's why I'm okay with it. If now's not the time, then that's okay. We're gonna get
On to
them
the
in
next.
follow up. We're gonna stay in front of them. We're gonna be there when they're ready to do something, and we're gonna over deliver. That's what we do. We teach just keep over delivering, showing up, providing value, being there, talking to them, and when they're ready, we're gonna get to business.
Okay, I like it. So, do you have any events coming up that we can talk about?
I do, depending on when this is released. Yeah, we have an event June 10th and 11th.
Okay.
I'm doing it's called the Listing Systems Live. Listing Systems Live. And basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a day and a half with real estate agents going through a 5-step listing process. And this is what I've been teaching for the last 2.5 years, and I have dozens of clients that are using this every single day to go out there and take listings. And we're gonna bring them through. We're gonna practice. Everybody's gonna put together their own script, their own word track. I mean, it's phenomenal. And we go through the connection is the first step, fact finding, pre-qualification, which is what you and I've been speaking about. The
Mhm.
third step is your presentation, right? Because you got to show up and you got to be able to present. Then you have your closing, and if you can't close, because sometimes no matter how good you are, situations prevent you from closing. So then you have your follow-up process. And literally we have a whole follow-up process, literally a year mapped out, everything templates, and then the over deliver part, which I was talking about. So that is June 10th and 11th. You can go to uh, www.listingsystems.net. Listingsystems.net.
Perfect. And is this an in-person event or is it online as well?
So for the espresso agent clients, we have a code where you can take $400 off. So you actually get the VIP, Okay, the VIP workshop. This is a
Love it.
special. Okay, for only $597 after the discount. So the code is 400 off. Okay,
Perfect.
so what we're doing is, so when you go to the site at the checkout, put in the code 400 off. It'll adjust the price $400 down for you.
Woohoo. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for doing that
of
for
course.
our wonderful espresso agent. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, and we look forward to catching up with you in the future. And I can't wait to hear how many listings you take
We're
this
gonna take
year.
them all. We're taking them all. We're taking our
I love,
unfair share. I want them all.
I love it. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.